Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rock Cup USA's Florida Winter Tour, the 2024 edition, and it is Finals Sunday here in Homestead, Miami, Florida. The AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex, home of rounds 1 and 2 of this 2024 Winter Classic. The Florida Winter Tour has been going on for over 25 years, and we're here to go racing on a Sunday morning. Briggs 206 Senior and Master coming around to complete their opening lap. Christopher Wakefield has been solid as a rock in this category through the opening weekend of the 2024 championship, and he finds himself out in front here after starting the senior category from the pole position. This class is our only split class on-track session of the day of the weekend. 206 Senior on track, and there's a good look at 206 Masters. Same motor, same kart, same everything. Just a little bit of a heavier minimum weight and a little bit more of a life experience driver behind the wheel of our 206 Master karts. Wakefield and Braswell out in front of this one in Senior, and then in Masters, the pack you're watching right now make their way out of Turn 3 up towards the hairpin in Turn number 4. That's led currently by the 126 of Diego Rodriguez with Phil Pignataro. Right behind in second, a little bit of side-by-side action right here in the Masters category. Pignataro, and that should be Portillo. No, that's the 102 of Miguel Romero, and they're throwing hands up like they're trading old family recipes out there on track right now. Checking with our senior battle right now. Looks like a fight for second place starting to brew on the track. 11 of Christopher Wakefield is eastbound and down right now, trying to pull away in this, the final race of the weekend. This is where your 2024 Florida Winter Tour really begins. The most points are on the table for the championship right here in the A-main event. Wakefield out in front. Fight for second is the one we're watching. The Masters drivers streak across the finish line. Pignataro did lose the second position in the Masters category to Jesus Portillo. We saw him and Miguel Romero doing a little bit of, hey, right here, what are you doing? We'll have to find out more about that in the scale line. Maybe we'll get Ashley Graff to talk to those drivers once they come in. Nothing like hearing from some excited 206 Masters drivers. That's the battle for second and 206 Senior you're watching right now. Dylan Braswell drives in the lead cart right there. He runs second in the 206 Senior category. And then Mac Brown, not far behind him. Christopher Wakefield, meanwhile, flies right out of frame. We're having a hard time keeping up with him. These other drivers in 206 Senior are having a hard time keeping up with him. Wakefield started the feature from the pole position. Second and third make their way into the Turn 4 hairpin at the top side of the racetrack. Braswell and Brown were close about a lap and a half ago, but Braswell's been able to lay down some very solid laps. Braswell just laid down his best lap of the race, a 56.68. And that is the reason the fight for second is starting to cool off a little bit. Let's watch this battle for third position. Actually, there's two battles going on in 206 Masters right now. The fight for the race lead and the battle for third right there. Pignataro has a very hard-charging Miguel Romero right behind him. Pignataro's just shading a little bit to the inside on corner entry of turn number 5. Then they work into the infield section here at AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex. Pignataro really good through the slow stuff. He's able to put a little bit of daylight between he and Romero. Wakefield goes purple that last time by. Quickest lap of the race so far. The pole sitter out in front, 56.10. His lead over 1.5 seconds last time by. Trying to continue to grow that race lead. These features, or these finals rather, here today are scheduled for 15 minutes plus 2 laps. The micros and minis are 12 minutes plus 2 laps. So this, every category but the micros and the minis are a 15-minute plus 2 lap final. Christopher Wakefield comes down to complete another lap. Let's see if he can improve on his 56.10 lap of last time by. .56 flat. He does, in fact, pick up the pace. 56.00 even. You don't need to save the tires after this one. You can burn them up, and that's exactly what Christopher Wakefield is doing. He's getting quicker and quicker each time by the start-finish line here in front of us. A little bit of dust flying over in turn number 4. I think we had one driver drop wheels. Try and find out exactly who that was for you. The Masters drivers come across the line. And Phil Pignataro has put a bit of distance between himself and Miguel Romero. Pignataro actually had a tire going down in the pre-final yesterday afternoon. Came in and He came up and joked with me. He said he goes, I'm not normally that slow. Had no air in the right front tire, and found out, thinks it's a valve core issue. There was no cut. There was no problem with his Levanto tires at all. It was possibly something either maybe with the wheel or just the valve core itself. That's what Pignataro, with the theory he was operating on. The theory he's operating on right now is find some speed, which he's done, and go find the leaders, which he's also done. Pignataro going after Jesus Portillo and Diego Rodriguez. Those are the front three in 206 Masters. They're coming down the side straightaway. Pignataro's signaling somebody with his right hand. I don't know who he's attempting to communicate with. The guys in front of him, they're not looking back at the moment. But this is the three-kart race for the lead and the first final victory of the 2024 ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. And Pignataro is spending more time with his right hand off the steering wheel than he is with his right hand on the steering wheel. That's just how good Phil Pignataro is. He lines up right behind second place, Jesus Portillo. A very close three-pack for the lead here. This is 206 Masters making their way through the infield. Oh, Pignataro takes a look to the outside for just a moment, but there's not exactly an outside groove here on the flat confines of AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex. Runs a little wide on the exit of 8. That's going to allow Portillo and Rodriguez to open up pretty even gaps. So the front three now about as spread apart as we've seen through the first moments of our 206 final. 15 minutes plus 2 laps for all categories except micros and minis. This is the 206 Masters and 206 Senior category out on track. We're not talking a lot about seniors because, well, Christopher Wakefield's not giving us a lot to talk about. Wakefield, Braswell, and Mac Brown way out in front. Top 3 in Masters starting to tighten up once again. It sounds like we are going to check in with our seniors here and tell you about how they're doing in just a moment as they come across the start-finish line. Here comes the run down the side straightaway. Nobody tries anything, at least not yet. Boy, Pignataro is right there. When do he and Jesus Portillo decide to pull the trigger? You know, these are our Masters drivers, right? They're the, what have I been saying all weekend? They're the most seasoned of our racers. And somebody's going to have to ask Phil Pignataro what he was trying to say with his right hand this whole race. But my point is, you know, these senior and Masters drivers, they know how to sit and wait and be patient and not, not be overly aggressive too early in a race. Christopher Wakefield, he's not having to worry about being overly aggressive. There's your leader. He's in a different zip code right now. And I don't even know what the zip code is here in Miami-Dade County, but he's in a different one. That's how far out in front he is right now. Dylan Braswell in second, Mac Brown third, and Anthony Bassett fourth. Diego Rodriguez leads this pack of carts, the 206 Masters field. Pignataro gives up a little bit to Portillo and Rodriguez at the end of that side straightaway. Not sure if that's a gearing issue, not sure if he's trying to build up momentum for a run through the final corner, turn number 12, down to turns 1 and 2 where we find them now. You know, but it's no secret. We don't need to beat around the bush. In these 206s, you have to keep that engine wound up as long as you can. And Portillo's going to go right after Rodriguez. Change for the lead. Portillo now to the front in 206 Masters. And it may be a 2-kart swing here as Phil Pignataro is able to show the bumper. 2 for the price of 1. Pignataro to the lead. Psych now back to second. Wow, lots of action between 4 and 5 right there as Rodriguez got passed by Portillo going up the hill into 4. Rodriguez slips back to second. Portillo gets him, bumping Rodriguez back to third. Pignataro says second's good, first is better. He throws it to the inside of 5. That sends everybody scattering in that tight right-hander. And what's it allow? Boom, Rodriguez to go right back through and retake the race lead. So on your alpha timing and scoring monitor, you're only going to see Pignataro and Portillo swap positions, but in reality, they all changed positions in that most recent lap. 206 Masters. What are we doing? This is good stuff as Pignataro had a taste of the lead for, I don't know, all of about 100 feet, maybe less, and he's going to want to get back to the top spot. Taking a look at the clock outside the window here. at the Presidential Suite we're working from, high above the front straightaway here in Homestead, Miami, and the clock shows only 4.5 minutes to go here in this 206 Senior and Master Final. Christopher Wakefield just gets faster and faster and faster. 55.60 last time by for the driver of the 11. Phil Pignataro ran in third for quite a while. Remember, he was involved in a kind of a feisty battle with Miguel Romero in the opening 2 or 3 laps of this one, and now he finds himself locked in a very tight race, not only for the lead, but the lead, second and third. It's a 3-kart race, and if Pignataro makes a misstep here, he doesn't only lose a chance to go after Rodriguez, who's in the lead, he's going to fall victim to Portillo right behind him. He's in the literal hot seat here. Now Rodriguez gets a little defensive as they come out of 4, down into 5. Pignataro says, that's all right. You go to the inside, I'll go to the outside. He's going to try the old over-under right here. Out of 5 through 6, now to the double right-hander. 7 and 8. Rodriguez gets that cart down as low as he can to the double right-hander. Pignataro is trying to build as much momentum as he can. You're watching the battle for the race lead in 206 Masters. It's round 1 of the 2024 ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. Over the curbing in 11. Down the side straightaway they go. Can they build a draft? Pignataro takes a look to the inside. No, tucks back in line, holds his water, and decides to wait another lap. Minutes counting down here. 3 minutes at the line for these 206 Masters drivers. The gap from Wakefield in senior back to Dylan Braswell in second, 4.8 seconds. So he's got some time here. Pignataro takes a look over his left shoulder, realizes the gap is growing between he and Jesus Portillo. So you got to think that's going to encourage Phil to get a little bit more, let's say, advantageous with attempts for the lead here. Phil Pignataro, one of his teammates, had trouble in VLR Masters. I believe the drivers decided to retire from the event going into the final day. And so Pignataro was actually here late last night asking Tech and race director Chuck Yoder if they rebuilt the VLR Master entry, could Pignataro enter and essentially substitute for his teammate and get a little bit of extra racing action in. That's how much Phil loves doing this stuff. Ultimately, the answer was no. Per ROK Cup USA rules, you must at least make an attempt to be a part of and contest the timed qualifying session that we ran back on Friday afternoon. If you were not a part of that timed qualifying session due to any other reason besides a mechanical failure that prohibited you and your kart from laying down a timed lap, you're not able to contest a heat race, a pre-final, or a final in that whatever, in that given category, whatever it may be. So Pignataro gonna be able to get out of here a little bit earlier. That's what we joked about. Gives the old side tap to the helmet. Says, come on, Jesus, let's go get Rodriguez. Hey, this was the first race we went live with yesterday morning as they were the top of the rotation, and it was a great heat race number 2. It was a fun heat race number 1 Friday afternoon, and it's living up to the hype. It's a entertaining, to say the least, first final of the day. Going to be seeing 2 to go here very, very soon. And these 3 are still as close as you can get into the double left-handers at the top of the track. No, that's out of 4. Apologies. Getting ahead of myself here. We still have a whole half of a lap to go. Rodriguez defending aggressively down to the inside. But when you're that tight on corner entry, it kills your exit speed. That's exactly what we see. The track bends to the left, but now it'll go to the right. Rodriguez is able to cover the entry into these 2 right-handers, 7 and 8. He's no slouch. That Diego Rodriguez, he knows this track, and he knows his competition, and he knows what Pignataro's thinking. Out of turn 4, that hairpin at the top side of the racetrack, down in to the right-hander, turn number 5. That's a prime passing opportunity. Portillo and Pignataro run a little wide on the exit of turn number 11. Across 12, now down the front straightaway they go. Pignataro is going to pull out, take a look, think about it, get back in line. He says, not here, not now, not yet. He's going to wait just a little bit longer. Christopher Wakefield will be seeing 2 to go when he gets back to the start-finish line. Wakefield, it's been smooth sailing in this one. Masters, up to the hairpin in 4. Now they'll make the run down to the prime passing opportunity in 5. Pignataro, Rodriguez, side by side. Pignataro's able to draw ahead, but the inside line is going to go to Rodriguez, and he brings Portillo with him. Pignataro on the losing end of a 2-kart swing. Pignataro goes from second back to third. Pignataro will go after Portillo here, and he goes after him quickly. Pignataro back to the inside. He runs out of racetrack. He's in the gravel. He's dirt tracking it. He's back on the racing surface, but he's lost second, and he's lost a lot of ground to the leaders. Wow, Pignataro. He saw an opportunity right there out of the right-hander turn number 8, threw it down to the inside going into the left-hander turn number 9. But this track here at AMR Motorplex it's more narrow than our broadcast, I believe, is really showing. Got to walk the track Thursday night. I walked a little bit of the track this morning, and it's so crazy to watch these big VLR and ROK Cup Junior categories and the senior classes with these mass amounts of 30 and more carts go flying down into turn 1 and negotiate all this tight technical infield stuff you're seeing right now, because this track is not as wide as you might think by watching on the old YouTube right now. And all that means is these drivers are really having to dance on a razor's edge no matter what cart they're driving when they're in a battle like the one we've been watching in 206 Masters. Pignataro, hey, you cannot knock that guy one bit. He saw an opportunity. He saw an opening. He threw it to the inside. He just had a little bit too much momentum. He came in like a wrecking ball, as Miley Cyrus might say. Unfortunately, it didn't end well for him as he goes wide in turns 9 and 10. But as you can see now, he was able to gather it back up, and he's still on track. He's still in third. That's the good news. But he's definitely too far back to have a shot at first and second here. The white flag is out. Christopher Wakefield has led every lap of this senior 206 category. And he's had such a easy time of it, we decided to check in with our Masters guys, and we're glad we did, because that was a very entertaining final. Only one lap of it remains now, and Christopher Wakefield is preparing to head on down and pick up the final checkered flag of the weekend for this 206 senior category. But it's only the first final checkered flag. That's an oxymoron. 206 Masters come across the line. Checkered flag is out, and Wakefield makes the swerve down the front straightaway. He was setting such a torrid pace. He was already into the back of our 206 Masters field, and Christopher Wakefield is a winner at the 2024 ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour as he picks up the first victory of the weekend here in Homestead, Miami. 206 Masters is not done yet. Here you go, last half of the lap for the 126 of Diego Rodriguez. Jesus Portillo right behind. I don't know if he's close enough, and I don't know if he has enough time. 3 corners, now 2 corners left to go out of 10 through 11. Rodriguez doesn't even use the curbing, makes the run down the side straightaway. It was a fantastic battle between Rodriguez, Portillo, and Pignataro. Portillo gets close, but it's not enough, as Diego Rodriguez scores the opening round victory in 206 Masters here at the 2024 ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. Wakefield's your winner in senior, Dylan Braswell in second, Mac Brown third. Diego Rodriguez is your victor in 206 Masters with Jesus Portillo and Phil Pignataro behind him on the podium.
We are down here in the scale line, and we're about to talk to the winner of our 206 senior category. Here we have Christopher Wakefield, who just took home the final victory. How did everything go for you today?
Felt really good. We just put every piece together over the weekend. We were fast all weekend, so we just didn't, we weren't too concerned for the final. We just said stay calm and see where it goes, and I stayed calm, and I guess that worked for me. So.
And saying that you were fast was an understatement. You got faster with every single lap throughout the race. You got any secrets to being as fast as you are?
Yeah, just stay calm over the race. If you make a mistake, just blow it off and keep the focus on one corner at a time.
That is fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're going to move back here and talk to some of our Masters drivers since this is a split class. Going to head all the way back here to the very last cart. We're coming to chat with you. You got a minute? Okay, we got a very, very important question coming from Tony in the booth. What were you doing with your right hand out there? You were throwing it all over the place.
You got guys, and you always tell them when you're in front of two guys together are faster if you just keep pushing.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get people to just push, but when they're blocking, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, well, that was definitely a very fun race to watch. Unfortunately, it didn't end in your favor. You were doing a little off-roading there, but it was definitely a fun one to watch. Did you have fun out there racing?
Oh, absolutely. These guys, this is their home track. They're really good drivers. So, I mean, a third is a third, but as long as it was a fun race, that's all that matters.
That is all that matters. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We're sending it now back to Tony in the booth.
Here from Christopher Wakefield, your winner in 206 Senior, and props to Ashley for going down and finding out exactly what Phil Pignataro was doing with that right hand. I didn't think it was anything out of bounds or what, but yeah, there was just a lot of signaling. And if you go back and scrub back and watch the replay of this 206 Senior and Master Race, you'll see him. And it makes sense now, definitely in these 206s, it's all about keeping RPMs up, keeping momentum high. And his theory was, hey, if we work together to Portillo or Romero and whoever else was around him, Pignataro's logic is, well, we can go up there and get Diego. And that was the line of logic he was operating on. That's what he told Ashley. Wanted to instruct the other drivers around him, hey, let's work together, let's draft, let's push each other, and maybe have a shot at going up there and getting Rodriguez. But cool to hear from our drivers down there in the scale line. Cool to hear what Phil Pignataro's thinking, and very cool to hear Chris Wakefield as he scores the first victory of the 2024 Florida Winter Tour ROK Cup USA. Vortex Engines, Levanto Kart Tires ROK Cup, and Skip Barber Racing School. Just a few of the great. So just like that, finals are underway here at the AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex. We got started a little bit under the gun once again this morning, so my first chance to welcome all of you for tuning in live and watching. My name's Tony Laporta. You've already met and heard from Ashley Graff as she talked to a few of our drivers in the scale line, and it is a perfect early morning. I guess it's not that early, really. It's getting close to 10 a.m. here on the East Coast, but it's a perfect Sunday morning here at the AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex, round one of the 2024 ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. Tony Laporta, Ashley Graff, and the whole gang is here ready to go with you for a fun-filled, action-packed Sunday of main event racing down here in South Florida. You just got to see Chris Wakefield dominate the 206 Senior category. Now let's move into ROK VLR Junior. Sebastian Garzon and Diego Ardiles, the front row, as we get ready to go here in VLR Junior. This class brought to you this weekend by our friends at Nash Motorsports, coming all the way from the West Coast to do some East Coast racing here at the ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. Garzon and Ardiles are not going to see the start here. Yellow flags wave. Drivers were instructed in the driver's briefing back on Friday afternoon about what would happen if starts were coming down the tram lanes on the front straightaway at too high rate of speed. they would show yellow lights and yellow flags around the whole course on the opening lap. And we got a great staff of officials here, headed up by race director Chuck Yoder. You also got the one and only Bobby Radavoy high up in the lift on the outside of turn number 4, the corner all these drivers are coming out of right now. They snake through 5 and 6. But Bobby Rad, a stellar product of the Oakland Valley Raceway Park up in Cutterbackville, New York. I'm told that's also where our boy Shaggy, our chief starter, comes from. OVRP, man, they produce some great drivers, they produce some great mechanics and kart team owners, and they also produce some fantastic industry members, whether it's officials, people that work behind the scenes in administrative roles. OVRP, one of the coolest places I ever got to go in my time in karting a couple of years back. Good looking grid here as our VLR juniors have it woed up, and they need to be moving much slower when they get back to the start-finish line this time. Sebastian Garzon and Diego Ardiles, your front row. Alexander Vanchev and Ty Fisher make up row number 2. Amador Martinez Sainz starts 5th with Ethan Sky Manjic in 6th. Race Beckman, Victor De Alencar, Jordan DeLeo, and Eli Steinbruck. Your top 10 as the field makes their way down the side straightaway here. A much slower, much more responsible pace here. There you see them. They'll stay single file like this all the way out of the final corner, and then they'll split 2 by 2 into the tram lanes, and they must stay in between those 2 bold white lines. Race control telling them to keep the revs down as long as they can. Lights go out. This start looks a lot better. Garzon is able to make his way into the front position from the pole. He leads lap number 1 out of corner number 3, heading up to the hairpin in turn number 4. Garzon, very good start. Look at Ardiles right there, getting a position after being shuffled back from the outside of row number 1. Hectic stuff here with so many karts in Nash Motorsports VLR Junior. A few karts getting together outside of turn number 4. You see a few drivers taking evasive maneuvers. Looking out the glass here, everybody seems to have got to get back going again. Turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all clean and clear. Lap traffic today in these finals will be waved off the track through heat racing and pre-final action yesterday and Friday afternoon. Lap traffic was allowed to stay on the track and be shown the blue flag. Ardiles trying to make a move to the inside here on Alexander Vanchev for second position. That's the attempted pass we saw at the end of the front straightaway. Garzon, your leader, Vanchev in second, Ardiles and Martinez Sainz. That 4-pack you're watching come down in to turn number 5. Ardiles to the inside. He's going to get second position, but he's going to go right back to third because Martinez Sainz went around him as Ardiles was going to the inside of Vanchev. So Vanchev slides back 2 spots. Ardiles made a pass, but it didn't even matter because as he was making his pass for second, he lost a position to Martinez Sainz. Ardiles was thinking to himself, all right, we're moving here, we're shaking, we're grooving, we're getting around somebody. And as he's doing that, he literally looks to his right, and there goes Amador Martinez Sainz. Ardiles is thinking to himself, all right, this is what Brady Yeager told me to do, man. And then he loses a position. But I wouldn't be too worried. I don't think that's the last of the passing we're going to see in this Nash Motorsports VLR Junior A main event. The final on track here, 15 minutes plus 2 laps. Sebastian Garzon leads a 5-kart train down the side straightaway. Martinez Sainz trying to keep that thing wound up. Martinez Sainz with a great run out of turn number 12. He pokes his nose out once, he pokes it out twice, and he will bring his teammate Diego Ardiles with him, and it's a 2-kart swing once again. Martinez Sainz gets around out in front, and Garzon can't stop the bleeding as that's Vanchev around. Move Vanchev from 4th up to 3rd. Garzon goes right back on the offensive. Garzon gets back around Vanchev. And Ty Fisher's in the middle of this mix as well. That should be Fisher now up to the 4th position. Remember what I just said about the passing not being done just quite yet? Yeah. I think we have about 11 and a half minutes more of this to go. And then some, because then we'll have 2 laps left. VLR Jr. You already know what I'm going to say. If you watched any of the broadcasts yesterday, I'm going to get back on this broken record. But when you have this side-by-side aggressive style of racing, that allows the guys in front of you to pull away, or it allows the drivers behind you to get even closer. And it's a paradox, because the more you race, the higher up the leaderboard you get, and that really is the reason we're all here, right? Why finish 5th when you could finish 4th or 3rd? Fight for the lead right there. Ardiles and Amador Martinez Sainz started getting aggressive for the lead, and they proved my point. The 2 leaders, the 2 teammates, they start getting aggressive with each other, and what's it do? It breaks them up, but it also allows Sebastian Garzón to get into the mix. Now Ardiles is going to have to fend off a challenge from 4th place, Vanchev, and Vanchev has company in the form of Ty Fisher and Race Beckman. VLR Jr. coming to you hot and heavy down here into turn number 4. Vanchev makes a move in turn number 4 in the hairpin. Ardiles somehow has put a little bit of distance between himself and this pack. Hip check right there from the 837 of Ty Fisher. Ardiles and Garzón, apologies. That's the race for 2nd on track right now. Boy, VLR Jr., I mean, they weren't slouches of heat races, that's for sure. It was good on-track action. But this final, this is the stuff you write home about. And Ardiles and Garzón are trying to sort themselves out right now. Ardiles to the inside of Garzón. Boy, if you're trying to keep track of the number of passes in this final, you're going to run out of fingers, toes, and ears pretty quick. But yeah, the more side-by-side racing you see here, yeah, it's awesome and it's entertaining and we want to see it. I'm not knocking it, believe me. But it's what Phil Pignataro told Ashley Graff in the scale line after our first final of the morning. If you can lock bumpers, work together, and push nose to tail, you're going to catch the guys in front of you, or at least pull away from the drivers behind you. If Ardiles and Garzón here can put their heads down and work together, they're quite quickly going to catch up to Martinez Sainz. Ardiles is already the quickest card on the track. Last time by, he went purple, 48.38. If he and Garzón can work together here, you can see it right in front of you. You don't need me to tell you the lap times. Look, the gap is getting smaller as we watch here. Martinez Sainz is doing a fine job. He's hitting his marks. He's driving as hard as he can, but 2 karts are going to go faster than 1. And with these long straightaways here, a draft can play a big role in these races. Single speed karts, you don't have a gear to bump down into or a higher gear to grab. You have to build momentum in these things. And 2 karts racing together get together on the exit of turn number 12. We heard the revs spike really high because we saw one driver kick his right rear up in the air. Battle for the lead here in turn number 4. Ardiles has got Martinez Sainz in his sights, and now he's got him behind him. Ardiles to the front. Martinez Sainz falls under attack from Garzón. Garzón gets 2 for the price of 1. He's back in front. Ardiles is going to slide back to 3rd. Martinez Sainz from the lead to 2nd to 3rd, now back to 2nd. Alexander Vanchev started this race in the 3rd position. He's 4th, just on the outside of the podium looking in. But he's trying to get a run of momentum up down the side straightaway. Black flag being shown to lap traffic ahead of these leaders. We talked about it already a little bit, but through the heat races and pre-final action, lap traffic was permitted to stay on the track. But now on final Sunday, they will be black flagged and removed from the race if it looks like their presence will impede the progress of the race leaders. The drivers fighting for a win here on Sunday. And unfortunately, the black flag displayed, but it's not going to be in time as our leaders do an incredible job at negotiating the slower traffic. Folks, this is incredibly impressive driving out of our VLR junior drivers. I have never seen drivers negotiate lap traffic this smoothly. Ardiles to the inside in turn 12. Hip checks Martinez Sainz. Move Ardiles now up to the second position. His pack making this second final of the day just fly on by. Positions continue to swap here in the Nash Motorsports VLR Junior category. 3 karts all over each other for the race lead. Change for the top spot as Ardiles now gets around Garzone. Garzone has Vanchev and the 837 of Ty Fisher. We have not talked about Fisher much in this one. Ty Fisher took the green flag in the 4th position. That's where he runs right now. But as close as these drivers all are, don't expect him to stay there for long. Garzone to the inside in 1. He's through. And Ardiles is going to lose not 1, not 2, but no, he does only lose 2 positions. No, Garzone took him for the lead, and Ardiles is going to slip all the way back to 4th, so he does go -3. Math is hard, folks. But once we get it all counted up and figured out here, Garzone puts a slick move down on the inside of turn number 1. Ardiles starts to climb back up the ladder. There he goes in turn number 9 to get back into the 3rd position. That was the 837 of Ty Fisher. So Fisher 4th to 3rd, now back to 4th. He's been farther down than that, and he's holding very steady. Ty Fisher is looking great back where he started this final. So Ardiles around Fisher for 3rd. Ardiles now has to put his head down and begin to chop wood if he wants to reel in. Vanchev in 2nd. And the 850 of Garzone. Inside of 5 minutes to go here when the clock hits 0 at the ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. 2 laps to go. When the clock hits 0, there's 2 laps to go. 15 minutes plus 2 laps on our final events here for everybody but the micros and the minis. Those drivers will see a 12-minute clock expire before 2 laps are shown here. And I got to say, I didn't know if I'd like the timed format here after coming back to karting for a while. And I got to say, it's nice. It's very manageable. And, you know, not to state the obvious, but it really helps you manage your time over the course of a day and a weekend here on a 3-day format like the one we have with the ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. So this is the most calm things have been here in the Nash Motorsports VLR Junior Final this morning. Garzone and Vanchev out in front into the infield. Vanchev has a great run out of 6. Now they're in 7-8. Vanchev comes a knocking in the 806 right on the back bumper of the 850. Garzone, of course, right as I say, oh, things are calm. They've slowed down a little bit. These drivers make me eat my words because Vanchev is as close as you can get. But as my man Artie Carpenter once said, catching him's one thing, passing him's another. Vanchev says, hey, Artie, watch this. I caught him and I'm going to pass him. But Garzone goes right back on the inside of 2. Garzone retakes the race lead. He lost it for a corner. He said, I don't dig it. I'm going to go back and take it. And what's that done? It's bunched our front 5 all back together once again. Now Vanchev gets aggressive, down into 5. Garzone cannot defend. The track ticks back to the left. Vanchev out in front. Garzone to 2nd. Ardiles 3rd. Fisher, Beckman, your top 5. They're all over each other, racing like it's the last lap, but we got quite a few more to go here. 3 minutes, just inside of 3 minutes. Five karts. Only 3 positions on the podium. Garzone. Oh no! Contact for the lead! Garzone went after Vanchev. They touched and they both went sliding. Garzone and Vanchev out of the battle for the lead, out of the battle for the win. That falls right into the lap of the RPG driver, Diego Ardiles. Oh, Florida Winter Tour, FWT. We know drama, and we've got it here in the VLR Junior Final. Who saw that coming? Not me. Wow, okay. Our producer says he saw it coming. I think he's lying. So Diego Ardiles, Ty Fisher, and Race Beckman Now, your front three runners here with 2 minutes remaining before we get to the final 2 laps. If you're Diego Ardiles, how wide do your eyes get 1 lap ago? And you can see a great shot there as the drivers run through turn number 1. Those barriers, those Tech Pros, kicked all the way out because that's the speed and the size, the impact that was made for the battle down when the battle for the lead between Vanchev and Garzone went sideways, and I mean literally it went sideways. It's a bummer, and not because I'm rooting for one driver or another. I've been gone for a few years. I don't know any of these kids. The turnover in the junior categories, of course, you age out, right? In juniors, you don't stay in juniors forever. And just so many drivers are new here to the Florida Winter Tour, and it's been awesome to meet them. It's been great to learn about them. And so I don't want to see anybody have a bad race, right? You want to see all these guys and girls have fun, learn, get better. That's what another RPG mechanic, Aaron Nelliton, and I were talking about just before the warm-up started today. Just talking about, hey, our drivers, they're getting better, they're getting faster, they're getting to the point where they're definitely finishing all their races. And so, yeah, it's just a bummer when you see 2 drivers that are up there at the front. It's a bummer when you see 2 drivers anywhere in the pack get taken out and lose whatever positions they had worked all weekend to earn. It's just a heartbreaker, really. Ardiles doing exactly what he did in the heat races yesterday, which is once he can get out front, if he's not challenged for a lap or 2, he can stay out front. Diego Ardiles was involved with great battles with Garzone, Vanchev, Fisher, and Martinez Sainz, but now that the track has been made clear for him up in front, he's able to really focus here. Put his head down. And I won't say that he's ran away from the field. Certainly that's not the case. You can see that on your monitors right now. But it is one of the biggest gaps we've seen since the lights went out on this Nash Motorsports VLR Junior final. The fight for second, however, that has not calmed down. Ty Fisher, I'll just come clean and I'll tell you right now, I haven't talked about him much this weekend, and I feel bad about it. He started this race in the 4th position after a good run in the pre-final after kind of just being silently consistent through the heat races. And now he takes a look over his right shoulder and he sees the 805 of Race Beckman. The clock has expired here, as you can see on your scoring graphics on the screen. Inside of 2 laps to go, when Diego Ardiles, Ty Fisher, and Race Beckman, the battle we're watching right now, when they get to the start-finish line, the white flag will wave, and that happens now. Out of the final corner, 1 lap to go here in the VLR Junior A main event. Good look there, a Shaggy right up and close and personal. You can almost see what he had for breakfast right there as he shows him the white flag. Ardiles just has to keep it between the white lines, and he's got himself another victory. He was so impressive here last weekend. He's been impressive here all weekend. The fight for second, though, where will they stand and in what order on the podium? Ty Fisher just fended off a challenge from Race Beckman. Beckman might have used his stuff up a little too early there. Ardiles can push in the clutch and coast, except there is no clutch to push in here in VLR Junior. No problem, though. He's got his hand in the air. He's your winner. Double checkers wave. Diego Ardiles scores the victory in round number 1 of the ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. Ty Fisher comes home in second. Race Beckman third. Ardiles with the win, Fisher in second, Beckman, Martinez Sainz, and Walter Jenkins in the 843 comes from 11th to finish 5th. There's a Leroy Jenkins joke in there somewhere, I'm sure of it. You kids are too young for that, probably. The checkered flags wave, and we're done with VLR Junior brought to you by Nash Motorsports. Diego Ardiles will be at the scales, and Ashley Graff is headed there to hopefully get a word with our winner. I hope she asks him about what Brady Yeager's advice was.
We are back down in the scale line with your ROK VLR Junior race winner, Diego Ardiles. How did everything go for you? That was an amazing race to watch.
Yeah, it was hard. At the beginning, I got taken out like twice, and I just stayed behind the Garson and Vanchev. I thought like they were going to start fighting, and then I was going to take the advantage.
Well, that was probably one of the most fun races I've watched this weekend yet. Was it fun to drive in?
Yeah, and it was also really hard because everybody wanted to pass, and I just stayed calm till the end.
Well, congratulations. You are a Florida Winter Tour Round 1 winner.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Back to Tony in the booth.
Thanks a bunch, Ashley. And Diego Ardiles kind of saying exactly what we were thinking here in the booth. It was a crazy race, lots of passing, and it's interesting the wording he used, right? Listen to what he said. Everybody wanted to pass. Okay, I think that's very important to distinguish, not that everybody was passing, it's that everybody wanted to pass, and that tells you that you can want to pass but not do it. And maybe Ardiles, through the prior experience he's had and racing he's done, maybe he knows that there's a difference between wanting to pass and actually passing. So great interview there. Very cool to hear what he had to say after his round 1 victory here in VLR Junior. Again, big thanks to Nash Motorsports for stepping up and making that class possible. Angela shows them the 1-minute warning down on the grid. We're getting ready to go with our next class. Their final getting ready to roll up here. VLR Senior is on the grid, ready to go. VLR Senior this weekend and this Florida Winter Tour brought to you by the Rocket Racing Company. The Rocket Racing Company, VLR Senior, about to hit the track. The Rocket Racing Company, ROK VLR Senior final is now on track. Guys, if I say a main event every once in a while, I hope you don't get mad at me. That's what they call it in sprint car racing, and it's just a little bit easier to say the first A main or the second A main instead of the first final, because it just feels like I'm saying the exact opposite of what I mean. So hopefully that doesn't confuse anybody. A main events, features, those are all finals to me, but this is the Rocket Racing Company ROK VLR Senior final. Alessandro DiTullio, or ADT as Chase Jones calls him. Stephen Miller at your front row. Steven Eisert and Colin Lloyd with Ryan Persing, Luke Welcome, Ernesto Rivera, Emma Scarborough, Chase Jones, and Patricio Gonzalez make up the top 10. As the Rocket Racing Company VLR Senior final is underway. Great move there for inside row 2 starter Steven Eisert to shoehorn his way up into the second position from starting on the inside of row number 2. Luke Welcome in that bright green helmet a little bit farther back, took the green flag for this one in the 6th position. Watch for him to move on up the leaderboard. But these Nash Motorsports drivers who right now you're watching Stephen Miller battle back, it looks like he was able to secure second, and he was. Miller started this race in second, got shoehorned by Eisert, but that only lasted a corner or two. Now Miller back to the second position aboard his 973 Nash Motorsports entry. Got a great opportunity to talk to Christian Brooks, who there's not a more Nash Motorsports guy, I feel like, than Christian Brooks. I mean, maybe, Seth Nash and his family, but Christian Brooks has raced and continues to race. He's raced for a very long time. I got to watch him come up to the junior and senior ranks, and he's a super smart dude, great guy to talk to, and he just gave me a little bit of insight and time about the Nash Motorsports team, and it was cool to talk to him, and just a mainstay in single-speed racing on the West Coast, on the East Coast, up north, down south, whatever, and they were the presenting sponsors of your VLR Junior race that Diego Ardiles just won. Alessandro DeTulio and Stephen Miller now up front in this one. Colin Lloyd, Stephen Eisen, Ryan Persing, the top five. Luke Welcome, Emma Scarborough, Chase Jones, Ernesto Rivera, and Patricio Gonzalez fight for what's that going to be, the third position. So you'll see those drivers swap positions. Isert should be going around Colin Lloyd on your monitor, and that's exactly the case. Wow, drivers fanning out, swapping spots all the way throughout the field here down the front straightaway. 100 cc's and air-cooled are these VLR senior engines. Whoa, one driver up and down. That's Luke Welcome. Luke Welcome has contact on the apex at turn number 4. That cart goes up and over. And safety is on the scene as race officials on the radio now. So we can confirm Luke Welcome up and walking away from that go-kart. We apologize for the pause there, but we never want to report something that isn't completely accurate. Luke Welcome is up. He did walk away from that go-kart himself, and he is on the other side of the barriers off of the hot track racing surface. We're going to find out exactly how he's doing and let you know as soon as we know. But that was Luke Welcome taking a scary tumble right in the middle of turn number 4. Boy, that was a bad one, and you hate to see that at any time, in any class, to any driver. And Luke Welcome's had a very solid weekend. Awful to see it end so early and so violently here in the Rocket Racing Company VLR Senior Final. We check back in with our leaders now after that scary moment. Alessandro DeTulio, Stephen Miller, and Stephen Isert. Well, they've swapped positions amidst all that. Miller's now your new race leader. DeTulio back to second, and Isert in third position, right where he started this race. And look at the gap that the front three have over fourth on back. Isert to the inside on DeTulio. DeTulio can't defend, so Isert. But right here into the right-hander, turn number 5. This is another prime passing opportunity. DeTulio says, nope, you know what? You can have it right now. I'll work my way back there. So as DeTulio and Isert change the hands of the second position, Stephen Miller goes purple. Miller picks a great time to lay down the race's fastest lap to this point, going 48.49. That's 4.8 with a 4.9 on the back. And Miller, hey, I know you guys are sick of hearing me say it, but it's just simple. It's simple math, right? If you spend more time battling the guy next to you and going slow, it's going to allow the driver in front of you to pull away, and it's double as effective for that driver to pull away when he goes purple, and he lays down a flying lap. So Stephen Miller. So Stephen Miller out in front of this one right now. Ran second in the final heat race. Stephen Miller did yesterday afternoon before we went into the pre-final. Heats here at the ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour, not progressive, where you qualified. Early Friday afternoon is where you started Heat 1 on Friday evening. where you started heats 2 and 3 on Saturday, and then they accumulated points based on how you did in those heat races, and it was like golf. If you won your heat race, you got 0 points. 0 points is good in this sense. Second place was paid 2 points, third place was paid 3 points, and so on. You got as many points as the number you finished in, the position you finished in. So Low Point Man got the start out front for the pre-final, and then the pre-final was a direct translation into today's final. Race for the lead. Now Miller is going to have to give way, probably not as much as he wanted to give way right there. Miller left the door open down on the entry to turn number 5. Iser was able to move down and pick up the spot, but he brought DeTulio with him. So DeTulio now up to second from third. Iser to first from second, and it's Miller who slides all the way back to third. The leaders out of the final corner now at the start-finish line. They see 8.5 minutes to go. It's so interesting to me to watch the differences in age groups, right? This is VLR Senior. Same 100cc air-cooled engine, single speed, same chassis, same everything that you just saw competing in ROK VLR Junior. The ages are just different. And Diego Ardiles told Ashley Graff in the scale line, everybody wanted to pass. It was an interesting race. You could kind of tell he probably expected it, or hoped at least it would be a little bit of a calmer affair. I think you can definitely say that's the kind of racing we're watching right now in the Rocket Racing Company VLR Senior Final. And that's not to say that it's not exciting, right? That's not to say that it's boring. What it's to say is that there's still over 7.5 minutes to race before we even get to the final 2 laps. These senior drivers know that they don't need to pass right here, right now, every corner. They're going to sit back. I think you're going to see a little bit more calculation. You're going to see a little bit more timing put in to some of these offenses. These front 3 drivers, Iser, DeTulio, and Miller, they aren't pulling away. They aren't on a different planet, but they've got themselves a good gap back to the 928 of Emma Scarborough. Ernesto Rivero runs in 5th. Colin Lloyd and Chase Jones are your front 7. We tighten up on that battle for second as Stephen Miller gets a good run of steam out of turn 12, but it's not a big enough run of steam to make something happen. There you go. Miller makes me eat my words. He didn't have the run of steam down the front straightaway, but what he was doing was setting himself up to make the pass in the hairpin, turn number 4. Miller had just gone purple coming into this lap, last time by a 48.25, quickest lap we've seen in this race to this point. So it stands to reason that he had the momentum built up behind him to go right after Alessandro DeTulio, and DeTulio falls victim in turn number 4 to the Nash Motorsports driver. Iser has, let's call it a 2-car length, less than that now, as they come to the end of the front straightaway advantage over Stephen Miller. Miller, hey, he might be feeling good right now. He might say, hey, let's get him while the getting's good. We pay attention to the top side of turn number 4, the turn those drivers just come out of, and that was where Luke Welcome had his flip at the start of this race. Everything's been cleaned up over there and put back. Safety personnel talking to Luke Welcome, and we're going to do our best to actually talk to Luke himself when he gets back here to the pit area. I can't tell you exactly when that's going to be. Of course, the first and most important thing is to make sure he's doing okay and gets any attention that he may need. But after all that is handled, and we're sure that he's okay, we're going to try to get Ashley Graff to talk with him. Stephen Miller wants to have a conversation with Steven Isert, and the conversation's going to go like this: hi, now, bye. But Isert isn't over with it yet. Isert wanted to make something happen in turn number 2, but Miller was able to defend down to the inside. Isert now has to be prepared to fend off a challenge from Alessandro DeTulio. DeTulio, close, but not close enough as they enter turn number 4. Turn number 5 out of turn number 4. Into the infield they go now. So Stephen Miller's been picking them up and putting them down here in this one. Miller ran second. I think I misspoke earlier. Miller ran second in VLR Senior Heat Race number 3 yesterday afternoon. He started this race in second after finishing in that position in the pre-final. And there's battles going on around the track right now. We're going to try and look at a few of them here for a moment, but the race for the lead is just not slowing down. Looks like Eduardo Castroneves picks up a position over Landon Cardwell. Time running out here in the Rocket Racing Company VLR Senior Final. This is the last chance, the last time you get to see these drivers on track. Stephen Miller trying to do what we've seen Diego Ardiles do in VLR Junior, and that is get out in front and drive away. Of course, that is much easier said than done, but it's the goal every one of the leaders are going to have today. Because it's a long weekend out here, right? Yeah, Friday is when qualifying in the first heats were, but these drivers have been here all week. Many of them who competed here last weekend have been here longer than that, right? Yellow flag waves over in turn number 12. I don't know if we have an incident in the exit of that corner. We have a yellow flag wave and our leaders come through and the yellow flag is withdrawn. So not sure if there was an issue there or farther down the track. But my point is, it's been a long weekend, right? It's been a long week for these drivers and their families and their teams and the mechanics and the tuners and the team owners and everybody who's been here. It's been a long weekend. It all comes down to these finals. For everybody but micros and minis, it comes down to 15 minutes and 2 laps. For micros and minis, it comes down to 12 minutes and 2 laps. That's crazy to think about the hours, the days that have been poured in over these karts just for this one race at AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex. And those of you who are watching this, you know this sport. This isn't the only time we're going to do this all year. We're coming right back here to Homestead Miami in February. We go to Orlando Kart Center in March. And then that's when things really get going. Whatever series you're racing, ROK Cup USA or other. We race all year round, around the country and around the world. So the hours and the days and the weeks that are poured into these things, for it to all come down to a 15-minute final or a 12-minute final race, it's crazy. It's so much pressure. But it also creates some incredible moments and on-track battles, because these young drivers, don't let their age fool you. Not here in senior. I don't think anybody would be fooled. These young drivers, they know the moment. They know what's on the line. But our juniors, our minis, even our youngest racers, the micros, they know that 12 or 15 minutes at the end of a Sunday can make or break your weekend, your week, maybe even your month. And with this being round 1 of the ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour, it can make or break your whole Florida Winter Tour season. Stephen Miller, right now he's making his Florida Winter Tour season. You certainly can't win the championship here in January, but you can hurt yourself and limit your chances of doing it when we get to the season finale in March in Orlando, Florida. Leaders come out of 11 down the side straight. They'll set up for 12. Clock's got 30 seconds left on it, so they'll get this lap they're about to start now. And next time they get back, they'll see the rolled up checkered and white flag from our chief starter, signifying 2 laps to go. What does Steven Eisert have for the race leader? 941 of Ricardo Baptista pushing his kart past us here. Leaders making their way out of the final couple of corners here. The sticks will be shown. 2 laps left. So now the drivers know it's exactly 2 laps remaining. Steven Eisert A 48.28 last time by to a 48.24 of Stephen Miller. DeTulio has nearly lost touch with the front two. Question is now, does Isert have anything to challenge Stephen Miller with? And if he does, how aggressive does he get? And it's not even a question of tire life. Oh, contact right there as Isert threw it down to the inside of the double right-handers. He made contact with Miller. Miller hopped up in the air, and that slowed them both down enough to let Alessandro DeTulio sneak on by for second, then take the lead from Miller. He'll see the white flag wave as the lead card. This one's not going the way either Stephen Miller or Steven Isert thought it would go. Just when you think you know how it's going to end, you couldn't be more wrong. I said it myself. I'm guilty as anybody. I said Alessandro DeTulio, he's lost touch with the leaders. He's out of the running of this one. Well, guess what, Tony? You were wrong. Alessandro DeTulio just kept doing his job. He sat back there, he waited, he watched, he saw Miller get together after an attempt for the lead with Steven Isert, and that's allowed Alessandro DeTulio to take over the top spot. He comes out of the final corner, and a wild one ends here in Rocket Racing Company VLR Senior. Alessandro DeTulio survives a hectic last lap and a half to score the win here at AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex. Stephen Miller, wow. He was so impressive in that race, but he's going to end up scored in second. I remind you all, as always, these results you see and hear us talk about are unofficial. Race officials, tech, and the scale line all have a say in how these races end. But as they come across the start-finish line, Alessandro DeTulio picks up the win of round number one here in VLR Senior. Stephen Miller in second, and Emma Scarborough on the podium unofficially in third. Ernesto Rivera fourth, Marco Mastronzi fifth, Patricio Gonzalez finishes sixth after starting 10th, Ryan Persing 7th, Quentin Angeli 8th, Colin Lloyd and Jaden Beckman, your top 10. A couple karts to pick up out there on the track, and I think Ashley Graff is down on the scale line.
Back down in the scale line where we're going to talk to the winner of ROK VLR Senior, Alessandro DeTulio. That was a crazy race to watch. Walk me through it.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy there at the end. At the beginning we had good pace, and then towards the the last quarter of the race, I just fell off and just I worked both with Miller and with Steven just because I knew I didn't have the pace, and yeah. Luckily, I was able to pull off the win.
Well, congratulations. You are a Florida Winter Tour Round 1 winner. I'm sure you're looking forward to the next race in a month here.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys.
Of course. We're going to talk to Stephen Miller here, who came across the line in second. Stephen, how was that race for you? It was super crazy to watch. How was it to participate in?
It's really fun. A lot of racing. Sadly, I got wrecked on the third to last corner, and that sadly ruined my chances of winning, but we go from here.
Well, I personally enjoyed watching the race. I hope you had fun while you were out there, and congratulations on your success this weekend.
Thank you.
Of course. We are going to head back to Tony in the booth and hopefully check in with Luke Welcome once he comes back to the scale line.
Thanks a bunch, Ashley. Great to hear from those drivers down there. Alessandro DeTulio. Angela's clapping. The grid is clapping. I'm not sure what they're clapping for. Probably that great race we just saw in the Rocket Racing Company VLR Senior. But Ashley talking to your winner, Alessandro DeTulio. And also getting to hear from and honestly, much more positive Stephen Miller than I thought we would hear. And that's impressive when a guy like that, a driver like that, goes through heartbreak and loses the race lead due to contact and battling for the race win. The fact that he can, I honestly didn't even know if he would talk, if he'd give an interview, and that was pretty cool to see him have the composure to stop and be gathered up enough to talk and give Ashley a few moments there. So very impressive by Stephen Miller to run as well as he did, and then be as just mature and as composed as he was in the scale line. It's great to see that. Alessandro DiTullio scores the third final victory. See, that sounds so confusing when you say it like that. He scores the final victory this weekend in the VLR senior category. Big thanks to Rocket Racing Company for making that happen. We got a couple karts to pick up here on the track. Again, as Ashley said, we're going to do our best to track down Luke Welcome and talk to him and make sure he is okay. We'll let you know exactly when that's going to happen, if we can make it happen, as we get ready for our next morning final. So, VLR Senior wrapped up. ROK Mini and ROK Shifter Masters are our last two finals for this morning's group. The schedule kind of split in half here. The finals will be contested over this last day on Sunday. Everybody that has run this morning or will run in the morning finals had a 5-minute morning warm-up session, and then we'll break for lunch, and then all of our afternoon finals, consisting of Pro ROK Senior, ROK Micro, ROK Junior, VLR Master, and Pro ROK Shifter, they will get 5 minutes of warm-up each, and then we will go into the actual final races for each one of those classes. So 1 minute being shown on the starting grid. So it sounds like they are bringing Luke Welcome back. And like we said, Ashley Graff is going to do her best to check in with the driver who was involved in that rollover, the flip, in corner number 4. Scary incident. You never want to see that happen. But he was able to get up and walk away from that go-kart under his own power. I've learned a lot in racing, and that doesn't always mean that the driver is perfectly okay and you know, no scratches or bruises. So we want to make sure he gets the attention he needs to, and then we'll check in with him. We're going to update you here. Hopefully we can hear from him right now as he's, well, not right now, but shortly as he comes back off the track. The track has been cleared, and recovery vehicles will make their way back into position here in just a moment after we offload those carts that were involved in the incidences during VLR Senior. But as you see on your screens now, our next final has made it out onto the track. And this is the Zanella Racing ROK Mini A main event, the final. Josh Bergman and Valentino Santillan, your front row. Benja Fernandez and Royce Vega in row number 2. Maxwell Macha right behind them. And it sounds like we're going to go to the scale line here quickly for a word from Ashley.
All right, we are getting a chance here to catch up with Luke Welcome. That was a scary crash you had there. First off, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, feel fine. Yeah, I'm doing all right.
You know, it is what it is, but as long as you're okay, that's all that matters. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm so glad that you're okay after that nasty wreck.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope you get your car picked up all right back there.
Yeah, that'll be a struggle, but...
All right, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Back to Tony in the booth.
Thanks so much, Ashley. Good to hear and see Luke Welcome okay after that scary incident over in turn number 4. Great that we were able to hear that interview and see the start of our Zanella Racing ROK Mini Final. Drivers exiting turn number 5 now and setting up for the infield run here on the opening lap. Josh Bergman and Valentino Santillan, the drivers we're watching, lead this pack out of the infield now. Bergman out in front, using that pole position inside row number 1. Obviously, that's where you want to be with a flat, fast left-hander like drivers have right after the lights go out here at AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex. Drivers working lap number 2, Bergman and Fernandez. Maxwell Macha, Valentino Santillan slips back to 6th off the start. Fernandez and Bergman, those were the drivers we talked about a lot during the heat race action based on how well they looked in qualifying. Fernandez had a great showing in the pre-final as well. We saw him making a lot of moves, battling, picking up positions, losing positions, getting them back. Fernandez showed some excellent racecraft yesterday afternoon in this group's pre-final. The Zanella Racing ROK Mini Final. Because this is a mini category, 12 minutes plus 2 laps only. We've been watching 15-minute races. Fernandez gets a good run out of 1. He's going to go to the inside of Bergman, and that's not typically where we've seen a lot of passes get done this weekend. Is into 2. In turn 4 is, however, where we've seen a lot of passes, and that's where Bergman gets the spot back. Everybody takes a quick look over the right shoulder as they exit 4 and make the run down to 5. Benja Fernandez, man, yeah, we have not seen a lot of passing opportunity on the exit of 1 down into 2. And Fernandez showed us that you can pass there, but Josh Bergman showed us that you can do what we already knew, and that's get the lead back or another position in turn number 4 in that hairpin. Josh Bergman lost the lead for a corner, well, 2 corners really. Gave it up heading into turn number 2, gets it back heading into turn number 4. That's the spot right there where we saw Fernandez pull out and duck down to the inside. It's tightened to the front 4 up. Bergman, Fernandez, Macha, and Royce Vega. Vega gets right up there on the back bumper of Maxwell Macha. They exit to the far right-hand side. They have to snake slowly back over to set up for the right-hander, turn number 5. And then it's a left, followed by 2 rights here in the infield. Julian Rivera, we just saw Julian exit the infield in the 5th position. Couple cart lengths back from Vega, who is the caboose in this 4-cart train. But I think Julian Rivera is going to get up there and have something for this 4-pack here before too very long, especially if they continue to battle like this. Rivera, though, has to worry about Valentino Santillan, the driver who started this final in the 2nd position. Leaders out of 3, up to 4. Benja Fernandez knows that Josh Bergman knows that he's there. Question is, now, how does Fernandez change how he races? He's shown his nose once. Bergman is aware that he's right there, and he can feel those little bumps and taps on the back bumper. Fernandez uses those as a knock, knock, I'm coming through. Fernandez, once again, in a tight pair of corners, is able to set up a pass going into the first of the 2 and execute it in the 2nd, but he's going to get freight trained on the exit of 11. It's a 3-cart swing as Fernandez is going to go from 1st back to 3rd. The 140 of Bergman holds on to the top spot after getting Fernandez back. An absolute freight training of Benja Fernandez. Bergman brings Vega and Macha with him. Fernandez slides back to 4th. Fernandez gets 1 back right there. So he'll go from 4th to 3rd, getting around Macha in the hairpin, turn number 4. These mini drivers, some of our youngest racers out here this weekend with the ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. Macha wants to stay right in the tire tracks of Fernandez. That would be wise to do so. Fernandez has looked phenomenal all weekend long. So Josh Bergman, our race leader, has Royce Vega and Benja Fernandez behind him. It's not a surprise to see Bergman and Benja Fernandez mixing it up here. Yes, Fernandez is a spot back in third now. He's been as far back as fourth. But Fernandez qualified on Friday afternoon for all three of the heat races in the second position. And it was your race leader, Josh Bergman, out in front. He's not going to stay out front, at least not this lap. He's going to lose 1, 2, now 3 spots. This mini racing is just an absolute freight train session. Bergman gives way to Vega at the end of the front straightaway, but it doesn't stop there as Benja Fernandez came along and Maxwell Macha kept the moves going. Now, fight for the lead, picks back up, business at the front, sees Royce Vega relinquish the lead to Benja Fernandez. Fernandez, the driver who qualified second on Friday afternoon, to Josh Bergman. Bergman was pole. Benja Fernandez second. Now Fernandez leads the pack across the final corner and onto the front straightaway. You don't just see one position change here per corner or per lap. You see 3 or 4 at a time change. And yes, that says a lot about the parity of the engines and the karts. Battle for the lead picks up once again. Vega is able to get back around Benja Fernandez. While it says a lot, this close racing, about the parity and the competitiveness. Oh, little bit of contact right behind them. That was Macha and Bergman, but Macha's able to keep it pointed in the right direction. Bergman looks like he's able to get underneath. I want to make sure that's Bergman and not Macha. Macha and Bergman had contact just behind our race leaders, which all that's allowed Fernandez and Vega to absolutely gap third and fourth. Vega and Fernandez see a change in position. Macha and Bergman had contact. Bergman tried to get around Macha there in the infield coming into turn number 5, and Macha actually got kicked sideways. It looked like maybe he was going to be a little bit worse for the wear, but actually it slowed down Bergman more than it hurt Macha. Bergman goes back from third and fourth all the way to 6th. And I can't believe Macha didn't lose more momentum, didn't lose more speed with that amount of sideways we saw him get on the exit of turn number 5. But yeah, the parity and the competitiveness and the quality of control, or the quality control in this kind of racing is great on the mechanical and technical side of things. But also, you gotta give it to these young drivers. These kids are out here racing so closely in ability. The karts sometimes might be the limiting factor, right? Sometimes it's what can the kart allow them to do already at this young age. This is what's so cool about the Florida Winter Tour, is you get to see these young faces come back year after year, and they progress, right? Some of these drivers were in micro last year. They're in mini now. Give it a year or two. You'll see them in junior. Then after a few years in junior, progression takes them to senior. You can't age out of the senior category, but obviously all these drivers' goals, or at least most of these drivers' goals, is to make a great career here in karting and be able to use that to catapult them to maybe another form of racing. Whatever that may be, each driver has different goals, but it's so fun. That's the best part about karting, I think, to watch the progression of these young drivers, these young athletes, just like Benja Fernandez is able to progress back into the race lead. Royce Vega loses the race lead, and he's about to lose the second position to Macha, the second and the third position. Macha brings Santillan through, and that's the name of the game here in this mini racing. In ROK Mini, you can lose a whole lot. You can gain a whole lot too, though. ROK Mini, their final only has 2 minutes left before 2 laps to go. This brought to you by our friends at Zanella Racing. Zanella Racing, the presenting sponsor of ROK Mini all season long here at the 2024 ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. ROK Shifter Masters are on the grid and getting ready to roll out next. as they will conclude our morning sessions, our morning finals here in Homestead, Miami, Florida. Fernandez, Mancha, Santillan, Vega. Vega spent time at the very front of this pack just a lap ago. Got shuffled to the back after Fernandez was able to make something happen there in turns 1 and 2. But if my memory serves correctly, it was in the heat races, probably heat 3 of this Zanella karting or Zanella Racing ROK Mini category. Heat number 3, your front row from qualifying of Bergman and Fernandez. There was contact at the start on that front row, and both those drivers went around. And they were able to finish. They were able to get going. They didn't DNF that heat race. But you're earning points in all those heats. And those two drivers, Fernandez and Bergman, they had been up at the front through the first 2 heats. And then they had to battle back. I think they finished something like 7th and 8th or 8th and 9th, respectively, in that third heat. So that really added some points to their total, which dragged them down for the pre-final. But Bergman gets back up and wins the pre-final, and Fernandez was third. That's where they rolled off for this final today. So all that to say that they haven't exactly had a walk in the park of a weekend. They've both had to battle through some stuff, and Benja Fernandez has just shown excellent racecraft. Maxwell Macha right in the tire tracks of the Levanto tires on Benja Fernandez right in front of him. Fight for third, a little bit farther back. That's going to be Vega to the inside, but he carries too much momentum, and he's going to give third right back to Santillan, and then Bergman was waiting and watching. Royce Vega and Josh Bergman had themselves a little moment right there, but only after Royce Vega and Valentino Santillan had themselves a little moment. Clock has run out. Time has expired. 3 laps to go. That means they'll see the sticks when our leaders get back to the line. 12 minutes down. 12 minutes left. 12 minutes completed. 2 minutes, 2 laps to go. Leaders into the final corner. Here we go. Benja Fernandez, Maxwell Macha. They've swapped positions. We were watching the battle for third on back. Macha has inherited the race lead. Well, odds are he didn't inherit it. He probably went right up there and took it. Macha, Fernandez, out of 3, up to 4. This is a great passing opportunity. Fernandez has flexed his muscle multiple times already this race, and he does it again. Fernandez to the front. Macha's not going to just let him walk away with it, though. Macha stays right to the back bumper of the 105. Fernandez now into the tight and technical stuff. Macha looks high. Now he looks low. He looks real low. Macha to the inside of 7 and 8. Macha back to the race lead. Fernandez to second. Lap and a half to go. They'll see the white flag waving when they come out of the final corner. They make their way onto the side straightaway now. 1 corner left, 1 lap left. As they come onto the front straightaway, Macha gets down way low to defend. That's going to hurt his exit speed, though. Fernandez is going to follow Macha all the way down the front straightaway. Macha halfway down the track. That's going to hurt his exit speed. Fernandez is there on the inside. Fernandez punches his way through. Benja Fernandez now to the front. It's allowed Valentino Santillan, Josh Bergman, and Royce Vega all to catch up. What was a 2-cart battle? Now a 5-cart race for the lead. It's a 5-cart race for the win. Down out of 4, through 5. Santillan to the inside of Macha. Macha finds himself with his hands full. All this battling is exactly what Benja Fernandez wants. It's exactly what Benja Fernandez needs. Royce Vega up to what should be the 4th position. They're fanning out 2, 3 wide. Contact. That's the 111 of Santillan kicking some dust up on the exit of turn 10. Out of 11, through 12. Benja Fernandez is going to walk away with this one. Fernandez wins in the ROK Mini Final here on Sunday at the Florida Winter Tour. Royce Vega ends up 2nd. Marco Samat 3rd. Josh Bergman and Macha, the top 5. G. Willikers. The Zanella Racing ROK Mini Final goes to Benja Fernandez. But after that, Maxwell Macha, was up front, coming to the very end there. He and Fernandez just looked awesome. All of them looked great that final, right? Our VTM Racing Rock Shifter Masters are on the starting grid getting ready to go. Fernandez, Vega, and Samut, your front three. Josh Bergman and Maxwell Macha, the top five. And Ashley Graff is in the scale line. Let's see who she has to talk to.
All right, back down in the scale line, and we are going to talk to our mini race winner, Benja Fernandez. Look at that smile on your face. How was that for you? How did it go?
It was good. I want to thank Kart Sport North America, my dad, my mechanics, everything. The setup was amazing. The start was very good. We just kept on pushing, got a little gap there I didn't see. They went by me, and, I went by, and then I just pushed until the end, and, that's my first national victory.
And I can tell by the look on your face that you are absolutely stoked to be a Florida Winter Tour winner. How do you feel? Are you as excited as I am for you?
Yeah, I'm very happy. This is my second ROK race ever. I was 7 in my first ROK race. Still chasing for my first national, so here we go. That's the first one.
Congratulations. We'll see you at the next race. Sending it back to Tony in the booth.
That was so cool, Ashley. Thanks a bunch. That's awesome, right? Okay, that's one of our youngest competitors out here, and he's telling us stories of how long he's been doing it. 7 years old. He makes his first appearance in ROK Cup racing, and that's his first national win. Benja Fernandez, he's a great driver. He's also a natural-born storyteller. What else can you want? That was awesome. Very, very grateful that we have Ashley Graff here to go down and talk to these drivers and hear cool stories like that. That was awesome. Benja Fernandez, Royce Vega, and Marco Samut, your front three. Josh Bergman and Maxwell Macha, the top five. Colton Scheinberg, sixth. Valentino Santillan, boy, he kind of came out with a raw deal on that one. Nico Katowski, Nicholas Orbezo, and Lorenzo Varela, your top 10. Great racing in the Zanella Racing ROK Mini Final. VTM, ROK Shifter Masters, coming up next. Here we go, our last final. It's our final of the morning. And then later I'll get to make that joke and say it's our finally of the day. Stay tuned for that. It's the ROK Shifter Masters brought to you by VTM on track now. Jose Montalto, Scott Presti, the front row, Luis Gaudier, and Lorenzo Mardan in row number 2. Nicholas Rondet and Morn Von Tak start 5th and 6th. Luis Quinones, Corey Matthews, Daniel Breitenstein, Francesco Vassallo, he's Frank the Tank, Sebastian Choquette, and Sergio Rodriguez complete the 12-cart field. We got a DNS for the 578 of LeGrand in the pre-final, so we'll confirm if LeGrand is on track or not. Red flag goes down. Shaggy says visors down. We'll throw it to the lights. 3 red lights come on, and when they go off, we go racing. Can Montalto stay perfect here in round number 1 of the ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour? The lights go out, the revs come up, and we go racing. 15 minutes plus 2 laps here in ROK Cup Shifter Masters out on track. Montalto has been deadly throughout the 2 days of preliminary action here at the AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex. Field makes their way out of turn number 4. ROK Shifter Masters will conclude our morning group of finals. The 580 Montalto, 588 of Presti make their run for the first time down the side straightaway. We look out the glass here in the scoring suite, high above the front straightaway at AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex. Fight for second place. For a moment, no, it's a fight for third actually. That looks like Gaudier, Mardan. Maybe it's not the battle for third I'm looking at. Maybe it was 4th on back. 5th on back. Check that. I'll get my eyes checked. Quinones, Rondet, Von Tak. Looks like Quinones is going after Morn Von Tak right now. That's the fight we're watching down the front straightaway. Quinones, Vassallo. Good shot right there as they come out of turn number 4. 526 of Rondet. Oh no, one around. That's the 526. That's Rondet. Rondet's sitting the wrong direction. He's up and he's out of the cart. He's going to have to restart that by push firing himself, trying to get that thing in gear. He finally gets it out of gear into neutral, trying to get it to roll here. He's having to get help from the corner workers, and I think he's done. Gets it pushed off the racing track, off the surface, away from the track. Yeah, he's up. He's out of the cart. He's looking at the rear end of that thing, and unfortunately, Rondet in the 526 done early, very early in this ROK Shifter Masters final. Montalto's lead, nearly a second already over Scott Presti. If you've watched all weekend, you've seen this story before. First and second all by themselves. There's a fight for, it looks like, third position out of the final corner. There you see him coming down the front straightaway. Third and fourth are going to get around second. Did Presti have problems? Presti's slow. Presti puts his hand up in the air. Scott Presti pulls off the track on the exit of turn 1 on the entry of 2. Scott Presti is done. So Lorenzo Mardan and Luis Gaudier were having themselves a battle. As you see Rondet's cart getting picked up and put over the barriers to a safer location. Presti falls back and then off the track altogether. as the 599 of Gaudier and Laurento Mardon, right here a lap ago, started to race each other. Mardon and Gaudier swapped positions. And you can see now on your scoring scroll next to the on-track action that Scott Presti, the driver who started in second position after finishing there in the pre-final last night, is going to DNF here in round number 1 of the Winter Tour. Terrible luck for Scott Presti, and I'm very interested to know what happened aboard his 588, because it was in the middle of the straightaway that he began to lose speed out of turn number 12 down the front straightaway, is when you could see there was a noticeable loss of speed, and it could be anything, right? It could be anything, and it's really not worth it to speculate, but something obviously happened right around the start-finish line or just past it on the front stretch going down into turn number 1, because Mardon and Gaudier were already racing each other. They flew by Presti, and then Presti had his hand up as he came out of turn number 1. So if we can get an answer on that and find out what issues ended Presti's race early, we'll let you know. But Montalto, 2.2 seconds out in front of Mardon and Gaudier. Those are the drivers we're watching right now. Montalto, best lap last time by. He was a 46.79. His best lap of 46.77. Morn Van Tak in the 568. He runs 4th right now. He just laid down his best lap of the race, a 47.28. And then Frank the Tank, Frank Vassallo, 5th. Quinones 6th. Breitenstein 7th. Matthews, Choquette, and Rodriguez complete your top 10. We've lost both Presti and Rondet to on-track issues. This is the last final of the morning group here, round 1 of the ROK Cup USA Florida Winter Tour. VTM Racing bringing you this action in ROK Shifter Masters. Gaudier goes purple last time by, 46.74. He's got the bit between his teeth, and he's going after Laurento Mardon. So Mardon was able to put the moves on Gaudier a couple laps ago now, head down the front straightaway. Although Montalto, he doesn't let the purple, the fast lap honors go to Gaudier for too long. Laurencio Mardon in second, trying to keep Luis Gaudier behind him. Morn Van Tak still in 4th, and Francesco Vassallo. No change throughout the top 5 here as we work the halfway point of this VTM Racing ROK Shifter Masters final. Laurencio Mardon takes a look over his right shoulder, going down the front straightaway. And Gaudier is able to eat up a ton of that deficit through 1 and 2. Mardon uses up all the inside curbing through the hairpin, turn number 4. Gaudier seems to be pretty good in I guess what you would call the first sector of the track. 1, 2, 3, and up to 4. He's able to close up to Laurencio. And there you see it again as they come out of 11. That's as close as Gaudier's gotten. Doesn't have a very good exit right there, but this is the section of the track I've been talking about that he seems to be very, very strong in. Gap grows from a half to about a full kart length right there on the exit of turns 2 and 3. And now Mardan able to stabilize some kind of a gap over Gaudier. Look at the last laps for both Mardan and Gaudier. A 47.05 for Laurencio Mardan, a 47.01 for Luis Gaudier. These two could go after each other at any moment here. Montalto just gets quicker and quicker. 46.49. He backs off to a 46.53. 46.87 for Mardan. 46.95 for Gaudier. Again, this our final of the morning. Frank the Tank in the 5:08, and I think that was Luis Quinones making their way past us on the front straightaway. Maybe looking at a battle in turn 4. Now they come into the infield, the right-hander, turn number 5. It's a 3-kart pack heading for the double right-hander. There we pick up this fight right here, the 5:21 of Quinones, the 5:08 of Vassallo. I believe that's the 5:06 of Breitenstein right behind them. Vassallo dives down to the inside in turn number 12, and Quinones, a little bit of Tokyo drifting on a Sunday afternoon here in Homestead, Miami. He slides wide on the exit, but is able to gather it back up. Quinones slips from 5th back to 7th. We caught that right in time. As Vassallo puts the pressure on Quinones. Quinones gives way, and the 5:06 of Breitenstein able to follow Vassallo through to the 6th position. Vassallo up to 5th. Von Tock still in 4th. Gaudier has gotten around Laurencio Mardan. So Mardan from 2nd now back to 3rd. Second and third right here. Swapping of positions. Gaudier back up to 2nd place. The race leader way out in front here. Boy, and now that Gaudier has gotten back around Laurencio Mardan, he has found some serious speed. A 46.72 to Mardan's 46.77. But the gap now bigger than Mardan ever had over Gaudier. Lead from Montalto back to these two. Nearly 5 full seconds, 4.5 last time at the line. Yeah, Gaudier looks phenomenal right now. I can't wait to see what this lap time is and what the deficit between Gaudier and Mardan is. Gaudier out of 12. At the line now, Mardan hits it, 46.76 to Mardan's 47.2. From 2nd to 3rd, now 0.8 of a second. Gaudier absolutely putting in some work right now. We haven't talked about him, and we sure haven't seen him in a while. How about a quick look at your race leader here in VTM Racing, ROK Shifter Master? That's Jose Montalto. You know, it got cold overnight here in Homestead, Miami, and it was cool this morning when we got here. At least when I got here at 7 a.m. So if you hear me yawn, that's why. But cool temperatures overnight. Got here this morning and did a partial track walk. And, you know, I talked about it a lot yesterday. You see a ton of that Levanto tire rubber getting laid down. And I almost thought they'd scrubbed the track. I almost thought they did a track sweeping overnight or this morning because the rubber was just so, there was just such a smaller amount of grip, at least it felt like when wearing sneakers walking around the track. It felt like they'd taken some rubber out. but the track was still just as dark as last night, especially over there in turns 7 and 8, where Montalto has just come out of, with all that tire rubber getting laid down. So I walked through the pits and talked to a few mechanics, talked to a few tuners, and just said, hey, what do you know, before I even knew if they scrubbed the track, I said, what do you think about the grip levels? It feels like they're down a little bit, and the consensus was, A, nobody knew if they'd scrubbed the track or not. The answer is they had not. They did not do a track sweeping. They did not pull up any of the rubber. But the one thing I can tell you is, we got one driver around facing the wrong way over in turn number 10. Yellow flag's waving. Going to try to get a camera on that and let you know exactly who it is. There we see it. The 515. Corey Matthews. Oh, man. I saw gravel and dust getting kicked up. I thought it was someone running wide on the exit of turn 4 because the straightaway out of 4 runs parallel with the straightaway that runs up into turn number 10, and we've seen a lot of drivers run wide on the exit of that hairpin. But looked for a moment and focused in and realized, no, the dust and the gravel wasn't up in the air from someone on the exit of 4. It looks like Matthews lost control, went sideways, dropped tires, and went around from the run out of turn 9 up to the left-hander, turn number 10. And Corey Matthews' race is done. Just a few laps shy of the checkered flags waving. But what we were talking about earlier was just talk to a lot of mechanics, talk to a lot of the guys that are setting these carts up to go out on track and do battle. And when we weren't sure if the rubber had been swept or removed or pulled up or whatever, the consensus I got from a lot of the folks that set these carts up and put them down on the ground to go out and race is they were very happy with what they saw yesterday as far as the Levanto tire and also as far as just this track here in Homestead, Miami, the AMR Motorplex, how it takes rubber. And that's kind of a unique thing, and I don't know nearly enough about track construction and pavement to tell you how or why it does here. But this track takes rubber really, really well. The Levanto puts down rubber really, really well, and everybody was very happy with what they saw yesterday. And even a few guys told me, hey, if they did sweep the track overnight and a little bit of that tire rubber has been pulled up, not a bad deal. Because that lets you just build more up over the course of today in the finals. White flag in the air here. Montalto, whether there's a lot of tire rubber or not a lot of tire rubber now, it hasn't affected him all weekend long. He has just been straight dominant here in the VTM Racing, ROK Shifter Masters. Every time they go out on track, Jose Montalto has been the one they've all been chasing. Luis Gaudier and Laurencio Mardan had themselves a good little battle back around the halfway point of this one, but Gaudier said, I gotta go, and that's exactly what he's done. 1.5 seconds from Gaudier back to Laurencio Mardan, but nobody's had anything all day or all weekend for this driver in the 580 coming through. Turn number 12, out of the final corner, Jose Montalto sees the double checkers, and he puts the double fists up in the air. Jose Montalto is your winner in VTM Racing ROK Shifter Masters. Jose Montalto gives a wave to the camera crew. He's got fans back at home watching, baby. That was a wave to someone. He's going to go down into the scale line and park it and make sure everything is on the up and up. And we're going to hear from Ashley Graff in just a moment as she heads down to the scale line to hear from Montalto. Luis Gaudier, second. Laurencio Mardan, third. Morn Von Tak, fourth. And Francesco Vassallo. That's your top 5. Breitenstein, Quinones, Matthews, Rodriguez, and Choquette, your top 10. Presti and Rondette, the top 12. Let's go down to Ashley Graff.
scale line, this time with Jose Montalto, your Rock Shifter Masters winner. Pretty dominant weekend, I'd like to say, from getting the pole all the way to, finishing the final in first. Tell me about your weekend.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. Perfect, literally. I did pole, heat wins, pre-final and final. I'm very thankful to my team, to DR Racing North America, and I hope I can keep coming here to these races.
Well, very cool to see you completely sweep the weekend. I hope to see you at the next race here in a month.
Yeah, I think I'll be here.
Perfect. Well, we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, guys, that was our final for the morning sessions. We're going to have a quick little lunch break, and we will be back with racing action here shortly.